But yeah, so he cut state aid to the universities by $173 million last year, right? So anybody want to take a guess when the previous governor was a Democrat, how much they cut state aid? Anybody? 169 million. This was in 2005. This was before the recession even started, right? And that's one of the things that we want to try to get across to people when we're educating about this issue, is it's not about a crisis, you know, it's not about the recession. This stuff has been going on for years. And, you know, I don't know, I'm not that great at math, but to me it seems like the difference between most Republicans and Democrats comes to about $4 million. So then the question we got to ask is, like, what's the way forward, you know? And we all know that the major politicians are in the pockets of the rich. The real question is, what are we going to be able to do about it? And we're going to have Anthony talk a little bit about this.
Hi, I'm Anthony. I am a college graduate, and just to let everybody know, I'm $15,000 in debt. You know, it's easy to criticize, to point fingers, and put the blame on politicians and policymakers. And I think that we've heard enough of that already from people from both sides of the political aisle. The point I want to get across here is that there's enough wealth in this world, and in this country in particular, for everyone to have free education. There are a lot of other nations with a lot less material wealth than the United States that give free college tuition to all of their students. Countries like Egypt and Cuba. Even advanced capitalist countries with economies similar to our own, such as Sweden and Denmark, and even rising Brazil, give free college tuition to their students. Unfortunately, the United States is moving in the opposite direction. If these trends continue, in the next 10 years, that which we know as public higher education in this country will cease to exist. It will only exist in the history books, and that's if you're lucky enough to get one, because they're also going to be closing down the libraries. The thing is that it's up to us to fight back. We can't wait for politicians who say they're going to do something but never do. We can't wait for this miracle recovery that we keep hearing about the green shoots of. And we can't wait for these green jobs that have been promised for years. You know, some people are going to say that this is a crisis, and in a crisis we all have to sacrifice. Okay, so what does that mean for normal working class people like us? Well, it means healthcare, you're not going to have it. It means retirement, you won't get one. And most important to the people in this room, it means education, you won't have access to it. So that's what we're expected to sacrifice as working people. What are the rich expected to sacrifice? You can see by this chart, on the left here is the 2012 expected budget deficits for all 50 states, and this is in billions of dollars. To the right, the wealth of the richest 400 people in America. It's a big discrepancy. Such a large discrepancy, in fact, that a 10% tax on the 400 richest people would mean that we could actually pay for the entire deficit without having to make any cuts. Worker productivity in the United States is at an all-time high, yet unemployment remains at 9%. The wealthy keep getting wealthier, and even in the crisis, the gap in wealth in this country has increased. Okay, so this all sounds nice, right? The crisis isn't our fault, and we shouldn't be the ones having to make the sacrifices. And I'm selling a pretty revolutionary vision here, one in which we're not going to have student debt, and all education is going to be free in our society. Now, people are going to say, I don't want to take the first step, but we've already taken the first step. This teaching is the first step, and being here is the first step. Other people are going to say, I don't want to be alone. I'm not going to stir the pot if nobody else is doing anything. The question is, how do we get back to this? This is a socialist rally in Union Square in 1912. The truth is that we're not alone. Students all over the world, in the United States and everywhere, are already organizing in masses about student debt. This is in London in 2010. Also in Puerto Rico, students actually shut down their entire university for a month. They had their parents bringing them food and water. They refused to leave. This is the University of California in Berkeley, 2009. The entire California system is out on strike. And then most recently, obviously, in Wisconsin, students and workers combined in order to fight budget cuts because, again, our struggle as students and former students who are still in debt is actually intimately tied with workers and even high school students. The thing is, those people aren't going to win without us, and we can't win without them. We have to get in this fight because we're all in this together. So great, we took the first step. We came and we got educated. Now we know what the problem is. What's next? Well, we have to get vocal. If we don't make noise about this, nothing's going to change. So I want everyone to think about and commit to coming to the rally that's going to be next Wednesday, March 30th. We're going to meet at the Bell Tower around 2:30, the Temple Socialists are, and then march to Center City. So that's that. And that's just the beginning. Because the thing is that the capitalists in this country don't respect us. For 40 years, they've done whatever the hell they wanted without an ounce of respect for us, and without any consequences, frankly. The only thing that these people understand is power. The only power that we have is masses of people. And that's why we need to build a mass organization that unites students, college students, high school students, and workers, all around one united vision about a better world, a world we call socialism. So our Fight Student Debt campaign is just one way to get involved. There are other ways. Because the thing about socialism is it's not just about condemning the present world that we live in, but it's about building one that we could be living in. And the other thing is that it's not just about fighting for future gains that we all want, but about providing essential services to people that they need today. Our belief is that education is a universal human right. It shouldn't matter where you were born, or what country you're from, or how much money you have. You should be able to pursue a better life through education because it's your right. And that's why we have launched the first semester this year, and we continue to run free classes free English classes for immigrants. Regardless if you're interested in the Fight Student Debt campaign or English as a Second Language classes, our next meeting is going to be Tuesday, March 29th in Barton Hall, room B107 at 6 p.m. And I'm going to leave it to Tim.
Okay, so I'll make this real quick. I really appreciate everybody coming out and all the hard work that a lot of people put in, and especially if we could just take a moment to congratulate the people who were speaking, especially Joe and Chloe. And also everybody who went out and stormed and went out and tried to get the word out. We obviously have in this country a real tough battle to try to engage people and try to get people active. And I don't want anyone to think that it's because of any thing that's wrong with anybody here as to why we're not able to get the kind of results if we're ever able, if we're having any trouble. I think that having been around in this business for a little while, you realize that there are setbacks, but also, a lot of times that's when the changes are really happening. So, yeah, our next meeting is going to be Tuesday. We're going to be making signs for the protest, so anybody can make it out. We are going to also have ESL that night too, so I'll be letting people know about that. But yeah, let's give everybody a hand one more time.